This is why you died.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to This Is Why You Died, the horror show that likes it painted black. Black coffee, black humor, black cats, black metal, and black blood running through our blackened veins. Although, we will make an exception for guacamole. You definitely do not want black guacamole. I, as always, am Sir Ian Dangerous, a.k.a. your Uncle Frank, and I am joined, as always, by the nocturnal Dan Marcha Madness and the Stygian Ryan Ross Live. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome on in.
Stygian mean? What does that mean?
It's Stygian is from the Styx. It's the river Styx.
Yes.
It's a Greek reference because I'm a Greek boy.
Yeah.
Well, nice. I'm also. I mean, it's also kind of a joke too because Ryan is about as Stygian as Pokemon, but it's okay. Like it's. We'll go with it for the show. We, of course, are the horror show that picks prompts at random from the 666 words and phrases in our buckets of the beast, and then we choose and watch horror movies based on those prompts, and we come back here to discuss them all with you, our dedicated listeners. So we're gonna have a fun one today. We've got two very happy boys sitting opposite me because Dan chose one for this week, and Ryan was very psyched about it. Which we needed to have a break for poor Ryan after the last episode doing Solo or the 120 Days of Sodom. That was, whew.
To be fair, I did put us in that position, but I was very excited when Dan pivoted back.
You lobbed me a softball, and I unfortunately I came back with it. So I do owe you. I don't know you apologies. It's culture, right? It's culture.
But in the meantime, you don't have to apologize.
You did. But so before we get into the show, like I want to catch up real quick. Dan, you were very excited the other day about something, and I wanted to share it with our dedicated listeners. So Dan, would you tell everyone what you got up to this last Friday night?
Well, I totally forgot that good old Ghostface was returning to theaters on Friday, and I realized it on Friday. And my girls were staying with the in-laws, so I was like, "Hey, I have a free night." All of a sudden, it's opening night. I'm gonna go solo because my wife hates horror movies. So I was like, "All right, let me go see it."
How does that work?
And so I went. I know she never watches any of this stuff with me. Maybe Sinners. Maybe I'll get her to sit down for Sinners. Like I'll be like, "Hey, it won Best Picture." You know, like if it does, let's see if it does.
Knock wood.
So, anyways, I was like, "All right, let me just go." Theater's packed, and I was ready for it. We're returning back to the Sidney Prescott story, and it just, without giving too much away, I was disappointed. I was let down. I left the theater like just feeling like the best way I described it was like it was a Scream movie that was trying really hard to be a Scream movie. Like remember we were Scream. Like remember the nostalgia of Scream.
Do you remember
when we were great?
It was very messy. It was very like convoluted of like having to mix the storylines and the things that they had built in the past two with totally different new characters, having to bring some of them back, mixed with, kind of returning to Sydney's story and now, showing her life and her new world that she's living in. It just like, it had all the elements of it, but I think it was just trying to do so much that it didn't do anything, if that makes sense.
Like, that's a harsh headline.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to rewatch it because it's the same feeling that I felt. I will, because it's Scream. Like, this is my favorite.
It was terrible. I can't wait to watch it again.
No, I didn't hate it. I was disappointed. I was disappointed. I was let down. I'm rethinking about it, and I'm like, there was definitely some very thrilling moments. Probably some of the most gruesome kills ever in this franchise. Like, they really went there in some moments, which was fun.
Okay.
And seeing it in a packed theater, I haven't seen a horror movie with a packed theater in such a long time. I've been to horror movies late, and there's been like sparse few in there, but like an opening night with seats packed was so much fun. Like, I found myself like yelling, going, "Run, run!" Like, I was in it, and like anytime there was a kill, there was a guy next to me, and he's like, that was good, right? And it was like, it felt very communal.
So he also was there because his wife hates horror. So yeah,
no, he was there with his girlfriend, but he was just like, Cool. That was cool, right? I'm like, yeah, I was like, it was great. So it was a lot. Yeah, I know, right? So it's a lot of fun. It's a fun movie, but it definitely is so far my least favorite entry into the franchise, and you can definitely tell that it suffered from all the messy behind the scenes that it did, like where they let go of the original, the cast that they did in the past, and they had to the director dropped out, they had to do a complete rewrite, they brought in Kevin Williamson, and Nev Campbell came back, and it was like they revamped it to save it. But I'm so curious about what Scream 7 was going to be, because that director that was coming in, he did like Freaky, he did Happy Death Day, both of those movies. Christopher Landon, I think is his name. He's really like injected new life into the slasher horror genre, I think, being able to balance the comedy and the horror that Scream really like thrives in, and I really think he would have done an incredible job. And so it's sad to see, knowing what it probably would have been compared to what we got, which is a little bit too much of a trip down memory lane, a lot of plot holes, and a third act that like fell apart. So yeah.
Oh no. Kevin Williamson maybe lost his touch. Do you regret breaking the boycott and going to see it then? Because there was a big boycott because they screwed over the actresses.
I know,
and the director
there was, yeah.
Well, also because of Paramount's ties to various causes as well. There
entities,
I would say
international entities.
I think I should have just held out and just left it, because I rushed to see the last one, which was in the New York one. And I had a blast with that one. I thought it was so much fun. Like, I thought that it was really smart. There was really good set pieces. Like, it wasn't the best of the franchise, but it was really cool to see it in a new setting, and I really liked that. And so I think I was just caught up and excited to see what they were going to do next.
Yeah.
But, I probably should have just, instead of letting the excitement drive the course, probably should have let my moral compass drive it and just let it see how it goes. Because the audience scores, people are loving it, but the fans are loving it, but the critics are kind of in my boat, where they see the mess that it kind of is.
And it just dominated this weekend. It was $100 million it made?
I think it's at 98.
Oh, wow.
So it was a budget of 30 million. So they've already confirmed that 8 is in development. 8's a go.
Sure.
They're going with it right now. I mean, I stayed through the credits. Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox were executive producers, so I'm sure they're making bank right now too. So I'm sure they're going to want to keep feeding it. So that's not the end of the franchise for sure. I'm sure,
right.
We'll get some more Sydney. So we'll see. I will say her daughter, the actress who plays her daughter, phenomenal. Like they needed to focus on her more, less of the characters that they threw in for body count, more on the daughter. She's great actress.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Dan Marcha Madness with his Scream is your favorite movie of all time, so this is your franchise. So it's good. It's interesting to hear your take on the new one. It's obviously not a glowing review, not the worst one ever. All right. Well, thank you for checking that out for us, Dan, and maybe we'll have to come and all catch up on the Scream movies and then watch that one, because I don't think I've seen a Scream since 4. So there you go.
There you go. And Ryan's only seen one.
So. Ryan's only seen the first one.
I've only seen the first one. And Scary Movie, which I thought was the Scream movie.
Oh my gosh. I will say they showed the trailer for Scary Movie 6 before it.
Amazing. That looks good.
That's good marketing.
It's gonna be fun.
Can't wait. You know what else is fun is the fact that this week we're doing another movie that's a big horror success at the box office this year. Something it's just now starting to leave theaters. I have no doubt it will be on streaming soon. It was a big news story in the movie world, not just the horror world, because of its origin and where it came from and how it came to be and how it got even into theaters. So I'm looking forward to discussing all of that with you guys for our listeners. But Dan, this was your pick this week.
It was.
Do you want to tell them what prompt did you draw? And then why did you do this movie for that prompt?
Well, I had the prompt gray. And so I had a completely different movie in mind. I had a completely different direction for the word. And then when we got the curveball of Ryan killing your prompt and we went with Salo, and I found out that his movie that he was going to do was Iron Lung, I had been excited about that movie.
Right.
I wanted to see it too, and I had heard the buzz. And so when I remembered that in Iron Lung is gray, I was like, this is perfect. So, like,
the
or
poster's all gray. Yeah.
The poster's all gray. I was like, it fits.
Bit of a reach, but we were like, let's go for it. Ryan needs to pick me up.
I think Ryan needed to pick me up after, So he was excited. I was excited to see it. So
let's be clear. You pretty much picked this for Ryan, which means Ryan,
sure
I
am incredibly grateful.
Let's go. Okay,
yeah, Ryan, you go for it, please.
Introduce Iron Lung to us. What is this? Who made this? What's going on? Why should people care about Iron Lung?
Okay, so Iron Lung is kind of monumental because it is a feature film made by a YouTuber that broke a bunch of records and performed very well at the box office. So, to kind of lay the groundwork before we go anywhere, Mark Fischbach, who created the film, also known as Markiplier, is a YouTuber who's been one of the largest YouTubers in the world for in the ballpark of 10 to 15 years. He's not like the Mr. Beast level, although at one point he was close during like the mid 2010s. He was really big during the whole PewDiePie era of like Let's Play gaming stuff. And he got big specifically doing Let's Play content, as well as like some comedy and like special effects. Like he would animate his mouth onto like cats and dogs doing like as if they were speaking type YouTube stuff during the mid 2010s. But he got particularly big and became kind of known for the Five Nights at Freddy's game series. He's the one who kind of put that series to the level that became the craziness. And he's colloquially known as the king of Five Nights at Freddy's. And he's done a bunch of horror as well as just regular comedy stuff over years of time. But he has always been somebody who originally he wanted to kind of do acting. His name was Mark, his name and Multiplier to be like multiple personalities, multiple characters, thus Markiplier. And he would do different skits and gags and whatever. But over time, as he got more into videos and editing and learning kind of the YouTube landscape, he wanted to do more creative, more long-term, larger projects. And so he's been doing like interactive storytelling. I can't remember the name of the Netflix thing that was like the Black Mirror interactive.
Jabberwocky, Black Mirror Jabberwocky.
Yeah. So he did something similar to that with a YouTube series where he, is it Jabberwocky? I think it's something.
No, I think it's Jabberwocky.
Something like
that's
that,
a
right?
Dance crew in Vegas.
Black Mirror interactive series was called.
But you're close. It's a funny.
Bandersnatch. Sorry, that's Bandersnatch is from the poem Jabberwocky. Just to be clear.
Yes. Which is
okay.
Shun the frumious Bandersnatch. So it's from Jabberwocky. Just so that I'm not too far off.
Correct. Not at all.
I'm not too far off.
I was far off.
But so if you've seen Bandersnatch, if you've seen the interactive element of that, Mark did a very similar series of YouTube videos where it was kind of a choose your own adventure storyline where his audience was able to choose what came next and made it into like an interactive story of him in space. And so he's been kind of working his way up to a level of this project for a very long time. But this was a culmination of years of successful YouTube making and kind of his dream, and was his first big stab at doing a feature film thing. And it was not intended to be nearly as large as it got. And so we can kind of dive into that more once we get past the spoiler and stuff. But that kind of lays the groundwork of how we got here, I think.
So, and this is based on a video game, right? This movie was based on a video game that he did play live, I believe, right?
Correct. And that series is still available on YouTube. You can go back. I actually intended to watch it, but there's been some things in the media world that kind of took some of my time. If anyone remembers my job, you might know what I'm talking about. But
things are interesting for Ryan right now.
Things are a little interesting right now. But so I didn't have time to watch I planned to try and watch it before I saw the film, and that didn't happen. And then I planned to watch it after before the episode, and that also didn't happen. But it is still available, and it is a game that you can still purchase and play. And he had the game creator very heavily involved in the creation of the movie so that he was loyal to the world and the lore and all of that jazz.
David Szymanski, right? Something like that. That's his name. Yeah. David Szymanski. Szymanski. Yeah. And he was actually even had a cameo in the movie. But Iron Lung, it is actually available on most systems, I think. It's on PS5, it's on PC. It's a very minimalist game. It's very much like you're trapped in a box and you just go around the little environment that you're in and pull things and push things and try to figure out what's going on. But before we talk any more about the game or the movie, we're gonna give our spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert. All spoilers, including character deaths and plot twists, are now authorized. You have been warned.
Bam, bam, bam. There it is. Spoiler warning. So going forward, we are going to spoil plot and ending and everything for Iron Lung, the game and the movie. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch it. Go check it out. I don't know if it's in theaters anymore, but it should be out streaming soon. But we're going to talk about it all and get into like all the nitty gritty of it. So just, you have been warned. But all right, so the premise of this is there's a guy trapped in this sub. He's been welded into a submarine, and he's being sent down into an ocean of blood on like a moon somewhere.
Right.
And why he's going down there is he's supposed to get something that can save humanity, because humanity is on its last legs after an event called the Quiet Rapture has wiped out like 98% of everybody. And all the stars are gone, and only some people like on some random little space shuttles and space stations are still alive and know that anyone's alive. So it's very, very like deep apocalyptic future. And he's going down there to find something that may save humanity. That's about all I understood from this. There was a lot of stuff in this movie that I didn't get. So maybe, Ryan, do you have any other information that I don't have on that? Like, what else is in the world here? What other lore should we know?
So that's something that I think is very heavily based off of the game and the playthrough, which as I said, I didn't watch.
Yeah.
I intended to. I do think that one of the things that I thought the movie kind of lacked was, I think that they referenced a lot of, like, you were able to gather kind of the important bits of some of the relevant lore of the outside of this whole situation, but there was definitely some that seemed important that kind of was glossed over. One thing that I did grasp was that it kind of implied through a number of these conversations and stuff that, like, this isn't just like, people have disappeared. It also seems to have wiped out a great deal of plant life. Like, they referenced, like, there was the last tree on this specific station died. Like, it seems like humanity is running out of resources to sustain itself, and therefore is going to die off unless a solution is found due to this cataclysmic event. But then, to your point, they reference, like, you find out very quickly that Mark, as his character Simon, is a convict. That this is essentially an arrangement that was made of, he could either go to prison or he could volunteer to go in this sub. And
volunteer.
He could trade his prison sentence for an adventure in this sub that, if he succeeds, he's able to
adventure.
a
trip to the bottom of the blood ocean.
He can trade his prison sentence for a mission that, if he succeeds, he gains freedom. And so he took this
merrily
bargain
down the daisy path. Yes, let us go on a sweet adventure with Markiplier. I have to say, Dan, I actually want to ask you about this really quickly, because the whole thing takes place in this submarine while he's on this adventure to the bottom of the blood sea, which we find out is made of human blood for some reason or other. That I do really want to kind of hash out what's going on with the plot.
Yes,
agreed.
But before we do that, Dan, what did you think about the environment? The whole movie being shot in this tight little submarine. Did you have a feeling of like claustrophobia? What did this movie do to you in terms of its scenario?
I was more impressed that I was never bored in such a small space. You would think that in a space like that, that you could quickly run out of options of things to do. But this is this kind of movie that you can compare it to, that it uses the environment very well, where it like kind of keeps expanding on it, keeps showing little bits of it. You can kind of, I think it's not the exact way it works, but like if you go back to one of the classic horror movies, Cube, which is all basically inside a cube, but it's the same space and it's changing as they move from room to room, but it's just like, it just keeps expanding. And even though he was kind of trapped in the sub, it's like they kept changing camera angles and different like lenses and like showing you different things that you felt like you knew you were in this space, but they kept showing you different ways of looking at it that you were always intrigued with what was going on. And again, like how much of a stickler I am on sound, but sound design in a movie like this is so important, and they did a really, really great job of allowing the sound to build that world.
Mhm.
So I was just impressed with what they did in being in this space for the entirety of the movie.
And not on a big budget either, right?
Right,
This was not
right.
a big budget movie.
No,
This is
I
all
think it was
self-financed.
3 million. I think it's 3 million, if I'm
heard
not mistaken.
4. I heard 4 million, but that also could be including
3 to 4 is what it's estimated. Yes.
Yeah, like marketing and whatnot. But correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, because you know Markiplier, the French Canadian. You know him better than I do. Than I think than Dan does as well.
Yes,
This was all self-financed because being that big of a YouTuber, he's probably got a little bit of cash laid aside.
Correct.
Was this all self-financed entirely?
I think primarily, I think that he might have had like a couple investors who like helped in it, but primarily it as far as I'm aware, it was almost entirely his own doing. Because he's had some fairly successful projects up until this point that he's been able, and like I will say, having worked for YouTubers in the past, YouTube, when you make it big, you make a lot of money off of YouTube, and so he's been a very successful creator for a very long time. But yes, as far as I'm aware, fully self-financed, and I agree with Dan. I think that the pacing, I was actually really concerned about the pacing going in when I saw that it was a 2-hour movie. I was like, I don't know how they're going to fill 2 hours. And there were a couple moments that I felt like it was slow. There were a couple scenes that felt a little long, but like I was really impressed with how it filled its runtime in terms of like the transitions could be really cool from moment to moment. The way that they continued to progress the story did feel natural. I was that was another point that I was impressed with as well.
See, I felt like it was kind of video gamey in that way because it is based in a video game. It seemed, again, none of us have played it, which is too bad because we can't really compare it to the video game. But I've seen footage of the video game, and I have seen that on a couple of like horror channels where they bring up horror video games, and so I've seen the game played a little bit, but not a lot. But this, he recreated the ship from the game, and there's a whole bunch of little like places in it where you go, you find a key, you find a little note saying cross the wires, and then like, what does this button do, and what does this do? And so there's a little undercarriage where you can get down in there and crawl along, and there's a lot of things to discover. And so like it felt kind of video gamey in that sense, where it was a small enclosed space, but there was a lot of discovery going on in there as well. And that was a way to advance the storyline, is he finds something new, right? Or something new happens with something that's already been established, like the radio communicator. I was actually surprised that they brought him up at one point. I thought the whole thing was going to be underwater. And at one point they bring him up, and we kind of we never leave the sub, but we kind of catch a glimpse through the window of the outside world a little bit and some other characters. And that was an interesting moment as well. And I thought that helped kind of expand the horizons. Plus, we get a couple of flashbacks, dream sequences.
Yes.
What would you even call those? I mean, because to me, they weren't narrative. They seemed more like a bunch of images, and I couldn't. So I'll fully transparent. One of the big issues I had with this movie, speaking of sound design, Dan, I actually had an issue with the sound design, and that was the last third of the movie. I had the biggest bitch of a time figuring out what the hell anybody was saying. And there's like 3 or 4 voices at one point all going on. As the movie goes on, reality starts to get a little funky down there, because also something about the Blood Ocean is there's some really big, scary critters down there. And not all of them seem to be entirely bound by the laws and rationales of physics. You've got some critters down there that bend time and space, it seems. And very Lovecrafty. And at one point, he even goes on like some sort of crazy, like mind-bending blood journey outside of the sub. But it was at a certain point, he starts hearing voices, and there's people talking on the radio, and some of them maybe imagined in his head, and like they're giving all kinds of like plot points. And I couldn't. You have to make sure you go to the front of the thing, right? I couldn't make out what the heck they were saying, and they were saying. But they're saying like what I thought were major plot points, and I couldn't understand them.
I agree. I think that for me, and granted, it's left a little bit up to interpretation, at least from not knowing the game, whether it's him losing it down there and whether this is like all in his head, or whether this is actually like an entity that has psionic abilities that can like tap into your mind or whatever. That's a little bit left up to interpretation, I think. But my biggest complaint was like the voice of the entity, or whatever we're gonna call this thing, right? This like fish creature that like is that either is communicating with him, or he's imagining is communicating with him. In his mind. I felt like its voice was too similar to the woman from The Surface, who's like,
Agreed.
it could be difficult to tell them apart. And then the second thing was they put like a filter on the entity's voice to make it seem kind of like ethereal and whatever. And like, I liked the design of the concept of how they did it, but I agree it was very difficult to understand. Honestly, I just wish they'd had subtitles for specifically any time that the thing talked, because I agree it was very hard at times. I kind of caught like 2/3 of anything that was said, I think, for most of that. And like the radio was usually fine. There was a couple times where they had like the blood in the radio that it got a little funky. But like the fish thing could be very difficult to understand. That was a complaint of mine as well.
Yeah, there. Like all of a sudden, he was going downstairs, and I was like, "Oh, I guess the voice told him to go down there because he was like, I got to go down here. Why?" Oh, and he's complaining about it. And I'm like, "Why are we doing it? Wait, what's going on? What are they saying about the rapture?" I was very confused by that. But that being said, that's one peccadillo. But let's look at. I mean, Markiplier. I had the hardest time saying
Markiplier.
Markiplier.
Just multiplier.
Markiplier.
Multiplier.
Yeah.
Markiplier.
Mark Fischbach.
Yes.
He wrote this, obviously based on a video game, but he wrote this, the dialogue, he directed it, he had a hand in editing it, and then I think he just fully edited it, right?
Oh,
and then
I don't know. Let me look.
He also, I believe he edited it. And then he also was acting in it. 95% of everything on screen is this guy acting. So let's break it down here. What did he succeed on? Did he succeed as an actor? Did he succeed as a director? Did he succeed as an editor? Like the writing? Like what were the things that felt like? Because this is his first big full-length movie. How did he succeed? What felt like it was a first-time thing? What did he really nail? What do you guys think? What did he nail anything, or was it something like that you felt like he was really weak on? What did you think about him as a first-timer here?
I think that personally, I enjoyed most of it. I think the one thing out of the things that he specifically were like his responsibility, right? Because you're right, he did fully edit it. I liked the editing. I thought the editing was cool, and I know that to your point that I'll circle back to that in terms of like some of the CG and stuff. He ended up onboarding because he considered it too much of an expense for like some of the animations. But I think my big complaint was acting wise, it was kind of hit or miss for me. I'm a big fan of him as an individual, but also, to be completely frank, out of the various creators that I follow, he's always had a bit of a younger demographic, and a lot of his gag is that he's really funny and he plays things up for dramatic purposes, right? He's very he overemphasizes things, and I think that the problem, at least for me, in terms of his performance, he kind of oscillated between genuine moments that I felt were well done and what felt like moments that it took too seriously or just felt slightly overacted, and it would kind of pivot back and forth between the movie. There were some moments that I felt like were really powerful, and there were some that I kind of felt like wow, he's really like trying to sell this moment.
He's pushing it. He's pushing it. Yeah, a little bit of Keanu Reeves moments sometimes, definitely. Early Keanu Reeves. Hey, love Keanu. Love Keanu.
Keanu's a gem. We love Keanu.
Yes, but you go watch some of his early acting efforts. I'll point directly at Bram Stoker's Dracula and Much Ado About Nothing, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Let's be honest, even modern Keanu sometimes can be very like I know he's the voice of Shadow the Hedgehog, which is a very dramatic like, oh yes, it's Keanu Reeves as a hedgehog.
The Keanu Hedgehog. Whoa. So wait, Dan, what about you, man? Did you think that he nailed it in terms of directing and editing and all that? Because you're the technical guy. How did you think this movie did in a technical sense?
I think you can nail this down as it is a first-time filmmaker, but what I was surprised with was that it progressively got better from start to finish. Like when it first opened up, it felt very indie. Like it was very wide-angled. Like it kind of exposed like, this is a small set. We have a small budget. Like this is the kind of movie you're getting. And then like as the movie progressed, he started getting tighter with lenses. Everything started getting darker, grittier. When the shift started and like more of the blood started to get in, and it got really like it got kind of like disturbingly dark in the way that it was like portraying everything, where you felt like you're kind of entering this hellscape, which is great. And it was like, and it's just like, so it's like, oh, it was that. I think that's the first time filmmaker thing. It's like he started. It was like the edit, the direction, everything started kind of early on. Felt a little clunky, but towards the end, it was just getting like incredible. Like the scenes outside of the ship, whether that was taking place in his head, whether that was actually happening, what was happening, it was very like, it was very well done for it as being like a first time feature. That's
kind of a good point, man. Because there's one thing that I've had my time being an actor and whatnot, but like one thing that they always tell you is it's a lot harder to do just small, basic, realistic scenes than it is to do the big over-the-top stuff, right? If you need to do big emotions, it's usually going to be, and you can really swing for the fences and go for it. But having like little reactions to things, it's really hard to make that genuine, especially when that's all that's going on. You're the only person on screen, and I feel like that both with his acting and with the directing of the movie, the bigger something was, it was the better he was. But the smaller things were, in terms of, if they were just having like a moment where he's sitting there looking around the place, and the directing of that, it wasn't quite as you could see the seams, if you will. And I think that is the first timer thing, man. This is something that you learn as you go. And I feel like, but also with the writing, I felt like this movie was about 25 minutes too long, and there was whole subplots, there was whole sections that could have just been cut out entirely. And the movie didn't need it. It would have been leaner and meaner for it. So I do think that there was a lot of kind of first time curse going on here, but there was also a lot of stuff that was really surprisingly good. Like, let's talk about the ending, because at a certain point in this, he starts going nuts or whatever happens. Other reality starts slipping into the ship. Blood starts getting everywhere. Organic matter starts growing on the inside of the ship and on him. Like big body horror stuff going on at the end where he starts falling apart and there's blood everywhere. And Ryan, you mentioned that there was a record that this movie broke, and it came down to the end. What was the record, and what did it break?
So this movie set a record for the amount of fake blood used in a movie. And it is, I'll pull up the exact number, 80,000 gallons of fake blood, for residential pools worth of, and I actually saw an interview that he spoke on. It's food grade, so they were able to dispose of it safely or whatever. But one thing that they didn't plan on is that because it was food grade, it's spoiled. And so they ordered it all at the beginning, and they were using it throughout the shoot. And he said, by the time that I had to swim in it, it was starting to get a little bit questionable. And he's like, luckily, I'm the only one who had to swim in it, so it was my call. But let's just say the smell wasn't great.
My God.
But like that thunder scene,
Jeez.
I do know that he had to go to the hospital at one point because he got too much of it in his eyes.
Correct. And to be fair, like he has a history of having medical issues. That's been something that he has had a very long time. And that's kind of what actually got him into content creation, was that he had such severe medical issues. He was frequently in the hospital, and he was very depressed, and it became an outlet for him, and that's what got him in. But then, like, over the years, he's had to take multiple hiatuses for medical stuff. And so the fact that he's even capable of doing a lot of this is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Good for him then for doing it. But that's a crazy record to break, because the previous record holder was, like you said, Evil Dead 2013, where they had literally a scene raining blood at the end of that movie, which was freaking awesome. And I know once upon a time, Peter Jackson's Brain Dead held the record, but the new record holder for the most amount of fake blood used. Good looking blood too. I like the texture, the foaminess of it a little bit. Oof. Like it was good looking blood, and the practical effects were disgusting.
Really good.
They were good. I loved it.
Really good.
The end of this movie, guys, is pure fucking horror. Like if it was not already claustrophobia, thalassophobia, cosmic horror, right? You have full on red-blooded, pardon the pun, body horror at the end of this movie, and it is so filthy. It is so filthy what happens at the end of this, and it was delicious. I loved it. But what did we think about the actual end of the movie? Because the game itself, if I remember correctly, at the end of the game, at a certain point, a monster busts through the wall of the sub, and that's the end of the game, right? In this, he actually has like a whole thing where he reveals that his character is actually like the terrorist that everyone says he is. and then he starts falling apart, and he is able to get this black box from this other sub wrapped around a life vest, and somehow get it out of the sub when the big sea creature bites down on it, and somehow the implosion of the sub blows the sea creature's head up or something. It was all very fast and confusing. What did we think about the ending that he found for this? Did it work for you guys, or could he have gone another way?
I am going to be honest that you explained some things in the plot that I didn't even catch when I saw it. So I don't think it worked for me, because
oh no,
I didn't even realize that he had revealed that he was a terrorist, because he kept saying that he wasn't. So I must have missed that. But yeah, that is the issue that I had of this, is that the even though
Simon the Butcher,
it's like the cinematography and the body horror and the horror and the like, the elements that they did all elevate and keep ramping up, and it's so good. But it's like, but the plot, I just could not understand what was happening at the ending. I just was like, this is amazing, but I don't know what's happening.
What the fuck is happening?
I personally, I will say, I think that the subplots in the film, I think, are the biggest weakness of the film. Fair. But I'll take a stab at what I think I got. So I don't remember the name of the Terra group, the like Earth group or whatever. There's like some project that's supposed to be like in charge of reclaiming the future of Earth or the future of humanity or whatever.
Yeah.
That they believe that they might try and save everybody, and that like humanity's doomed, and it's something Terra something or what other.
Yeah.
And this organization that seems to be sending him down seems to be kind of a governmental body tied to this project. But then they talk a lot about the station that he supposedly destroyed. And like, he's Simon the Butcher. He supposedly killed all the people on the station. And some of the flashbacks have to do with like, he claims that it wasn't his intention to kill everybody, and that like a bunch of his friends like went awry with whatever plan or whatever. I think that specific point of the thing, like they make it seem very important, and B, it's not explained almost at all. And I think that is kind of the biggest gaping hole in terms of the lore of the movie, like, we just don't have any context as to what happened on the station. Like we know people died, we know a tree died in the process, and we know he's held responsible. And he claims that it wasn't his choice, or that it wasn't his intention, but he's got this guilt of whatever happened is still on his conscience. And then I guess at the end he kind of gives in like, fine, you want me to be the bad guy, I'll be the bad guy, was kind of the vibe I got. But I really wish we got more clarity on the station, because like it comes up frequently in terms of like, it's gone, it was important, like it had a tree, it had these people, and he's held to this thing, and we literally don't ever know what occurred. And he refers a lot to these brothers of his and like these teammates, and we don't get any of that either. So I think that's the biggest flaw.
Well, and that's the writing. Like that's, the game is a lot more streamlined. He's adding a lot of lore that I don't even think was even mentioned in the game, and it doesn't need it. Like, we don't need all this convoluted outside stuff. If you had made this movie leaner and meaner, instead of having like all of this extra stuff, all this extra plot, all these names, all these places that we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, just the concept of the quote unquote quiet rapture is hard to wrap one's head around. And then not only that, but we're being told that like he has to bring this piece of bone up from the bottom of the ocean, or the black box. Everything is, all these MacGuffins are so important, and they're being made out to be so important by the secondary characters, to the point where we're sitting like, okay, cool, what is it about the bone that's so important? And we never find out, but it seems it does seem like there's just so much being thrown at us that we don't have time to really give weight to the things that are important. And that's the writing. There's too much of stuff there, and he could have simplified it.
This feels like, there's a lot of what video games do well, and he's trying to translate it into film, and there's some hits, and then there's some misses. And all these lore bits feel like things that you would discover while playing a game. You find a piece of paper, it has something written on the back. You find a booklet, it has a journal, and it tells you all this stuff. It's like it's things that you would discover and put together in your head. That is the joy of gaming, that when you try to inject all that into a film, it becomes confusing, and it's not the way that you tell the story. It's different. And I think that there's a lot of great things that he takes. I was like, man, as a gamer, this is a really cool movie because he's doing a movie that is really blending elements of what works really well in video games. Like, I mean, didn't he? I mean, I feel like some of the voice actors are from video games too.
Troy
like,
Baker.
A couple of them,
Troy
yeah.
Baker.
Troy Baker. I was like, as soon as I saw his voice, I was like, and I heard it, I was like, that's cool that he's getting these people that are well known as voices of the video game world and putting them in here. But it does hurt in the way that he tries to inject so much of that video game-ness into a film, and it doesn't work sometimes.
Yeah, just so people know, Troy Baker's the guy that he was Joel in The Last of Us. He is the real Joel. He was also he was in Bio. He was Booker DeWitt in BioShock. He was in he was Sam Drake in Uncharted. So he was, he's been in a ton of stuff, and he's a legendary video game voice actor. So it was cool to have him do a voice in this, even though it was kind of brief and it was a character that you didn't really need.
Well, and Sean McLaughlin, who's Jacksepticeye and is not only also a YouTuber and content creator, but also a
Gesundheit. What was his name?
Sean McLaughlin. He's Irish.
Yeah.
Or his YouTuber name was Jacksepticeye.
Of course. Yeah.
But same era, same like kind of focus. But anyway, he's also a voice in this. But I think, Dan, to your point, I agree. I think that I love the gamified elements because I think the cool thing about it is you have this confined space, and by making these discoveries, you're slowly expanding your capabilities, right? Of like, you're unearthing the log of the computer. You're able to now, you have a new depth of knowledge and a new capability. And then that ties into, once you find the sub, you're able to pull the, like, you're unlocking and widening the world bit by bit. And I also really liked the whole sequence where he essentially gets separated. The sub gets completely shoved off the map, and he has to essentially like solve his way back and map to get back into the zone that the original ship that put him down was. Like, that felt very adventurous. That felt very gamified. That was very cool. But I do think that the lore aspect, and I don't know how much of this was his writing. I don't know how much of this was like the original lore of the game that they felt like they had to fit in, either his choice or the game creators. Like, they were like, well, this is the, like, we got to be loyal to the original intention. I don't know where that line was, but I do think that there's no way to service the amount of plot that they try and bring in. And there's just vagueness that just never gets answered. And I agree. I think that some of the plot points could be shaved, because ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the black box narrative and the narrative of saving humanity because humanity's being wiped out is really the core. All the station stuff and all, like, the fact that he's a criminal, I think, is an important establishment, but I don't think the details of why really matter. And so the station becomes pretty irrelevant pretty quickly, other than I think the tree kind of ties into the main plot. And then all of the stuff about his specific actions and his brothers and the way that people died, I don't really think any of that really matters. And even the imagined conversation he has with, like, whether it's the other ship or whether it's the entity, that first time that he thinks he's found another person down below and they kind of like really react to this other station was lost. I think that pacing wise, out of the whole movie, that was the scene that felt the longest for me in terms of like, that scene just felt like it dragged. And if you cut that plot point, that scene becomes a lot more condensed. But also kind of tying back, I do think, to Dan's point, I was impressed that it kind of, besides that scene, held most momentum for me. Through to the end.
It was, like Dan said, it never really got boring per se. It just got a little bit confusing, convoluted, and a little flabby around the middle. So what do we think's next? Oh, sorry, Ryan, you had one more thing.
I was just gonna say, and there's like, to be fair, there's a couple plot holes of like, it kind of establishes towards the end of like the whole like, oh, the blood's like corrosive and like taking off skin. But there's like a very there were a couple shots that very clearly are intended to be comedic, but they're so briefly bounced off of throughout that I don't think that any of them hit particularly well. I think the one that I think was kind of successful was when he drinks the alcohol that's supposed to be the antiseptic. That one was kind of good, but it's like, it's not even really capitalized that well. Whereas the other one, the glass, there's a very stressful moment. He wakes up, the sub's slide is down, he's under pressure, the glass is beginning to crack, he's trying to close the cover of the window, And just as it's about to close, it cracks and squirts him in the face. But then that would have been corrosive if by the end we've established that. And like, there's like some weirdness.
Consistency was also kind of all over the place. Yeah. No, and that's they can kind of chalk it up to that. It's kind of a dream state. It's it's
like
supposed
what's
to be arty.
real.
Yeah. Go watch some. He needs to go watch some Tarkovsky. But what do we think is next for Markiplier? Like, do we think so? This was a huge success. This is why we're watching this movie. This movie, $4 million budget, $50 million so far in the theaters, which is incredible. He originally made this movie
I think
a few
that's
years
just domestically too.
Yeah, you might be right. And here's the thing is that he waited to get this in theaters and he self-distributed. Like, he was calling up theaters like, please show my movie. And they had like a huge uptick. I from what I read, like he started off in a very few theaters and then it blew up. He called up AMC and got into AMC and he got into Cinemark and that really expanded his reach. That's insane.
Well, so
he reaped the benefits.
Yeah, he spoke on this of basically, he said that they originally only had 3 theaters. They had 3 theaters that they were going to show it in that he had budgeted out. And then because he's a YouTuber with multi-million followers, he published, I'm going to have these in these 3 theaters. And then the company that he was working with ended up being like, we're going to put it in 50. We have enough demand. We're going to put it in 50, but that's all we can promise. And so his wife made a website of like, here are the theaters it's in. Wow. Here's where you can go see it, because he's been working on it for so many years. He's actually...
What's her name? Bethaplier?
No. I don't remember her name offhand.
Heard that somewhere.
But his wife's name is Amy Nelson.
Amiplier.
But so she designed a website that was basically just like an interactive, here's where you can find it. Here's the showtimes. And first off, they all sold out very fast. And second off, there were a bunch of people who started commenting on the video. I'm so sad. I really want to see it. Like, I'm going to have to drive hours to see it, whatever. And so he just put a comment on the video that said like, hey, if you want to see it, like, you can call theaters and request movies. If they get enough, they will purchase. And that, he said it wasn't even him. He put the comment up and he said within days, the fans started calling places, pulling things up. Regal then bought in and put it in all the theaters. And once Regal picked it up, then AMC looked over and goes like, oh, Regal's doing it. Like, if they're doing it, we want it. And he said, and then all of a sudden it was everywhere. And
that's amazing.
He goes like, no shame to the fact that they were only going to do 3 theaters. I didn't think that, like, I had no plan. And the momentum of his fan base just kind of carried it everywhere. But he's from like a small town, I think in Ohio, and he like looked up that his local town was showing it and that it had sold out on opening day, like really early, and he like broke down. Like, this was like a really big deal for him.
That's amazing. That's so
awesome.
cool.
Dude, good for him. And you know what? Because of that, I think this is going to open the door for a lot of other people who self-finance. And I mean, obviously, he has a bit of a leg up in that he has millions and millions of dedicated followers for his YouTube page. So he's got a built-in audience like for this kind of thing. But people are, I think, going to look at this and say, we can go. I mean, look at Taylor Swift. She did it with her concert video, straight to theaters. We're not talking to the studios about this because they take too big of a cut. So that's going to be something that I think in the next 10 years, this movie's going to have a ripple effect going forward for how people maybe deal with their own films and say, like, start a grassroots movement. You know, imagine if, for example, Blair Witch Project had been grassroots and had been self-financed and put into theaters without a studio. Like, that would have been a massive success for the people that made that.
Very much.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next and what people do based on the success that he had with Iron Lung.
I'll be very interested to see how it goes, because I think that I feel like it's a double-edged sword. Because on the one hand, he has come out straight up and said, first off, this took 14 years of career development. And like, I've done a bunch of projects that were not financially successful leading up to this. And this is the first one that's really been crazy commercially successful like this. And on the one hand, he's like, obviously I'm thrilled. And one of the big things that I'm hoping for is that this gets people to take YouTubers more seriously, because he's like, YouTubers have a breadth of creative skills and they usually don't have a seat at the table at all for things like this. And this goes to show that this can be done and that there is this level of like creative development of people who have these ideas and have these followings that they've built, and that means something. But on the flip side, I'm also concerned because I think that unlike the average YouTuber, right? Most YouTubers are focused on digital content, specific types of content, short form, whatever. He is somebody who specifically has diversified and been working towards a goal like this for a very long time, and like has built up multiple film style cinematic projects in hopes of reaching a goal like this. I am concerned that there are other successful creators who aren't as cinematically inclined or practice that might see something like this in terms of Dan's lights just turned on.
Dan went dark.
That might see something like this and just be like, oh, we have an audience and we have financing. Let's just make a thing. And it's not going to be nearly as quality. Not that this doesn't have its flaws, but like, I do think that it's a capable movie and clearly it was very successful. I'm concerned that there are people who are going to try and mimic it to much less effect. And I'm interested to see how that develops.
Absolutely. But I think that's always the case with these kinds of things, right? Where there's someone who does it first and there are people that follow in their footsteps. Correct. And sometimes they're successful and sometimes they're not. And ironically, that's kind of how I feel Iron Lung is in some ways successful as a film and some ways is not.
Yes.
But one thing we can't argue is that it was absolutely a success at the box office. But that being said, we only have a couple deaths in this.
Yeah,
so it's going to be interesting. And there's not a whole lot of people to hate.
My light went out, but I wanted to chime in that like you are concerned about the YouTubers, but we've had in the past, year or year and a half, we've had a very successful YouTube brothers that have now come out with Bring Her Back.
Yeah.
And also, so like they've come from the YouTube space. Unfortunately,
the Philippus.
And unfortunately, the guy that made Shelby Oaks, that movie wasn't as successful, but it was in theaters.
But it got made.
It got made. And so I think like Ryan, I know you have some concerns, but I think that the voices that are breaking through, especially into horror, they started at YouTube because that was the place where they could start expressing themselves easily. And now once they've given their chance to make horror and make movies, it feels like they're doing a really good job doing it, I hope. So more often than not.
I mean, I think we can all agree that if nothing else, this is an achievement and it's a milestone. And I think it's a milestone definitely to be praised. I know he said that he wants to make more stuff and that he doesn't plan for all of it to be horror and he plans to pivot in and out of horror, but that he does plan to return to horror. It probably just won't be the next thing he does because he also does comedy and stuff and he wants to explore that as well.
Sure. And just like you were saying, the Philippus, they were doing kind of like action video YouTube and kind of like goof videos, and they have some of the most dark, serious horror that you could watch. So it's, having a breadth like that, it's good to show your range.
Honestly, even Key and Peele, I guess, technically count.
Sure.
Of like they were sketch comics originally that were doing digital stuff for Comedy Central, and then now look at Jordan Peele now.
I mean, it's a lot of YouTubers have hidden skills. I'm no fan of his, but Logan Paul turned out to be an absolutely incredible professional wrestler. Like he's genuinely freakishly talented at being a professional wrestler. And then you've got people like I Show Speed, who's an insane athlete as well.
Yeah.
Right. So there are people out there that they're one of the reasons that they're on YouTube is because they have some sort of talent. But that being said, we got to do some of our gimmicks here and get towards the exits of the theater. Guy Woodhouse Award, the fuck that guy award. Do we have someone in this movie that we can really say fuck that guy to that we really hated? And we're like, that guy really sucked. I mean, everyone kind of was working towards saving humanity. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I guess I'll throw in one. I don't think it's nearly our strongest Guy Woodhouse, Mike Logan candidate. But like, there's one guy. So the woman that he talks to on the surface, I don't remember her name's like Claire or something. They eventually exchanged names.
Ava, right?
Ava, is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
The one who's speaking to him on the radio, that's like who calls him convict half the movie.
Yes.
There's a point where she basically makes an executive decision to let him go try and get the box. And there's some dude who's like, he's lying. Like, how dare you trust him? And it's just being like a contrarian dick. And I feel like if there's anyone in the movie that just kind of sucks, it's that guy. Because like, yeah, to your point, you might be right. But also like, what do you got to lose, dude? Like,
yeah. Well, I think it was because he was Troy Baker, right? He was the guy that
Was that him?
Because
Got
there's
flashed.
there's that weird little subplot where
Yeah.
he tries to use the camera on the surface, and like they don't tell him that it's like a super
giant X-ray gun.
X-ray gun, and so they all get flash fried by this radiation gun, and you have like the one guy peer in the window, like who's with his burned face, just going like motherfucker, and so the Ava runs off to take that guy to the med bay, and that's when Troy Baker comes in and starts talking to him, and he just basically is like, "Can you shut the fuck up for a second?" to him, to Troy, and Troy's like, "What the fuck? I'm just trying to help you, dude," and then he goes out of range, right? So I think Troy still hated him from that. He was like, he was a dick to me that one time, and I don't like him now.
Just got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, he can just go down there and just die for all I care. He can just go challenge deep, whatever. He hurt my fees.
I mean, could we give it to the giant bonefish monster thing down there? I mean,
The
is
entity.
giving him a bad time?
I don't know, man. I feel like if a little critter was coming down there and poking me with a ship, I'd want to bite him too. I kind of empathize with the giant.
He poked the skeleton. It wasn't the thing, but then the thing. I like that's the one of the biggest issues I have is like, is the thing sentient? Like, is it actually?
It came
like,
after him. It's like a giant underwater Lovecraft eel or something.
Sentient in terms of actually, like, is it just an animal that's like, oh, there's a thing, I'm going to eat it? Or is it like it's communicating with them and it has some mission and it's luring people into the ocean for... It implies like, oh, you're going to, like, by stealing this thing, you're going, like, everything's going to go wrong. Like, it's
That's the convoluted part that I was talking about earlier. All I know is he rams his ship into the skeleton, and then the big giant Lovecraft fish eel thing comes after him. I'm just gonna say that's kind of on him, dude. If you desecrate Mama Eel's bones, you break off a piece of like his family.
Take a chunk of the jaw.
That's right.
Yeah.
Before he's gonna come after you, like mother, how dare you take a piece of my grandma up to the surface?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I'm living in peace on the blood moon my entire, millennia of existence.
Man.
And some little twerp comes down there and starts fucking with my tomb. That would piss me off too. Little bastard. So yeah, I don't know if we have a Mike Woodhouse for Iron Lung.
Yeah, I don't know if we do.
But we do have people that died. This is why you died. It's the name of the show. So let's figure out why someone died in Iron Lung. And pretty much everyone died. Everyone died, right? Ava came down to get the black box, and she got chomped by the eel. And then...
No, she didn't.
Yeah, she did. She died. She came down into her little craft.
She died?
He sees her. He sees her out. She's screaming at him like, you have to get it to the surface, and blah, 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 blah. Like, and he catches a picture of her ship in the creature's jaws. See, this is what I'm talking about. This movie.
No. Okay, hold on. Back up. That's not her. I do know
that.
this one. I did follow this. The ship that it's got. So it's got there's the broken ship that he steals the box from.
Right.
And
he has to get back to the rendezvous point where
correct.
she is.
But the rendezvous, she never comes down in a sub. She's on the upper ship.
No, she does. She straight up says, I'm coming down to get the box from you. I'll meet you there in half an hour.
Coming to she's on the big ship to pull them up. She's making a deal to pull him up to the surface.
I thought she was on the surface. I don't think she ever came down.
She's like the commanding officer on the drop ship, essentially. So she's saying the drop ship's going to be here. If you're not there, we are leaving you.
She came down there. I guarantee she came down there.
I didn't get that. See, look at how we don't even know what's happening in this movie.
I'm
Yes.
99% sure that she was on the drop ship and it was basically saying like, we will take you if you're there.
Okay, listeners, we're going to have a little gentleman's bet here. If anyone goes to see Iron Lung or has seen Iron Lung already, please weigh in. Please weigh in on this.
We need
comment on
comments
Spotify, comment
right now.
on
We
YouTube.
need comments.
We need.
Yes.
Yeah, this is actually great.
We're gonna. But did Ava die in Iron Lung? We have to. I say yes. They say no. We'll find out.
I don't know because that is news to me. I don't know.
I'm
And so
90% sure she was on the upper
I missed
ship.
a lot.
Because the implication that I got was that they go to the rendezvous point and they don't find him. They just find the light comes up because they find the vest in the black box.
No, her whole thing is, I can't save you, but I will come down to get the black box. If you get that for us, then you will save humanity, and you'll die a hero. And then he gets there, and she dies. So and the last thing she says is, you have to get that to the surface somehow. I'm going to distract the monster by dying, or something like that. But yeah, All
If
right.
that's the case, I totally missed that.
Wow.
If that
Well,
is
we'll
the
find
case,
out.
I totally missed that. But I'm pretty
We'll be-
sure.
Yeah.
You
We'll
have
be
me
informed.
doubting, but I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Well, in that case, I'm
this
going
writing
to.
was great.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the problem.
You're the one saying the sound design.
It just needs subtitles. Just specifically,
Yeah.
like if you just put subtitles on the entity, it would like everything gets wonky because you can't really understand the entity, and because the speaker's starting to go, and their two
Yeah.
voices sound too alike. You really needed
Yeah,
either
true.
defined voices or you needed subtitles.
Well, I'm going to say that Ava died because she went down to save Markiplier
Yeah.
in his iron lung.
Mhm.
And I mean, really, you send him down there and you even say it's not a prison sentence, it's an execution, right? And you're going to go down there for this MacGuffin black box thing. Basically, you're going down for an unexplained plot point. That's a horrible reason to die. And then your death is so weird and off camera and convoluted that people don't even know you died. These guys didn't even know she died. She died for nothing. She didn't even die for a
bad
dramatic
writing?
moment.
She died for bad writing?
Maybe, yeah. She died for bad writing. All right, boys. Why did someone die in Iron Lung? Take it away.
You're right. According to the Iron Lung wiki, she died. You're entirely correct.
Wow. Okay.
Paying attention.
Well,
in the
there
movie
you
theater.
go.
Yeah.
Look at that.
According to the
Yeah.
wiki, assuming the wiki's accurate.
Right. But I'm gonna take that as a win.
Let's see. I guess I'll take don't give a guy a radioactive weaponized
Dude.
camera and not tell him what it does.
Dude,
Like-
and then stand in front of it. You don't give a child a gun and not tell them how to use it and then stand in front of it while you're fixing it. That's like, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
God.
That was
Yeah, that guy
yeah.
was- I had no sympathy. I'm like,
So
that was
those-
on you,
yeah,
bro. That
whoever
was on
died,
you.
whoever got fried. Because it sounds like he hurt more than 2 people. It sounds like he hurt like a whole floor of people. Whoever was there,
Right.
he
Anyone
took them
out
all
there.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
anyone
You saw like 3 people in the flash, so it looked like he nailed the whole floor. That's on all of those guys, man. That's on them.
Well,
What
then,
about you, Ryan?
I guess that leaves me with Simon.
Yep.
And there's a variety of reasons Simon dies. If
Yeah,
you
we had 2 hours of reasons.
Whatever crime you committed, I guess don't get caught for the thing that you committed, or don't trust the people who betrayed you. Whatever that whole thing was.
Don't get caught.
Don't drink the alcohol that you need to treat your medical wounds that definitely show up later in the film. Don't punch the giant tooth of the crazy fish creature that's trying to eat your sub and anger it further. And then I think he breaks the tooth off at one point, doesn't he? Breaks the giant tooth.
Yeah, he rams into it, breaks it off, and then is like, has it. And that's why the eel chases after him. And he loses it.
No. At the end, when the tooth comes through the ship, he's like hammering at the giant tooth.
Oh, right.
That the fish bit into the ship.
Which is, by the way, after what was the submersible that imploded a couple of years ago? What was the name of that?
SM3 or whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
The ocean, something. Yeah,
that one thing that we all learned from that, because everyone became an expert in deep sea diving at that point when that happened, right? One thing we learned is if you're that far down and that the tooth comes into the ship, it's catastrophic
Pressure,
decompression.
Baby. Yeah.
Just whole thing. And then like in a flash.
They just put out the recreation video from that wreck where they show like exactly how it happened. And it's, oh my God.
I've watched it
That's
like 100 times. The slow motion.
Yeah. Oh
yeah. And them getting torn to jelly. I mean, it's just it's horrific.
My
it's
God, that's horrible.
By the way, it is really sad, at least for the innocents trapped in that. It's also fascinating from a scientific standpoint. All right, so it's time to
we need
rate
less
Iron
billionaires
Lung.
anyway.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If he had just taken himself out, he had to drag some poor innocent people with him. That was the sad thing. All right. Scully Awards. We got to rate Iron Lung. What do we give to Iron Lung? Let's see. It was your movie, Dan. Take it away. What do you rate Iron Lung?
I'm gonna go with a solid 7.5. I think is where I'm gonna land. It's a good, solid horror movie. It gets really great towards the end, but also gets so confusing that I didn't know any of the storyline or what was really going on. Having said that, the fact that I didn't really get the plot didn't take away from my enjoyment of what was being done. Two things I think that I could say is that I am a video game fan, and I am and I do enjoy the art of filmmaking, so I could appreciate what he did with both of those elements.
Sure.
If I was just if I was not really into the the artistic, or not the artistic, but I guess like the technical side of what he achieved, and then also like the gaming way that he gamified a lot of stuff, it might be more kind of an annoying watch. You could also say, because like how it's not giving you any plot points because it's allowing you to kind of go along with it, but because it's not giving you these things, which I think a lot of audience are now used to, are being spoon-fed a few things to kind of help them get the plot going along. I think a number of people could be confused with it too. So I was confused, and like you said, I think there was a good 25 minutes that they should have taken out of this. It feels a bit too long. I think he stuck to like a solid 80, 85, 90-minute movie, it would even be elevated more. But the pacing of it did get a little laborious, watching him like look and search and stuff. I'm like, this is cool if you're in the video game, but like this is a movie. Keep it going, Totally. So so that's why I'm gonna say 7.5. I am super excited to see what he does next. Yeah. And we didn't touch upon this, but I just want to say something about the technical aspect. Ryan did say that he took on some of the cost to do the rendering because outside company, he not only took it on, he basically sourced a bunch of computers wherever he could find them and turned his home into a farm.
Correct.
A basically farm that he could just render. He said he had computers in the bathtub. He was just rendering in his house with all these computers that he put together to make this movie. It's incredible.
It's specifically the opening shot where they lower the sub into the ocean, and they were simulating the ocean and the sub and he wanted it to be studio quality. And he said that they were originally paying for all of the animation iterations and like processing that it would take to create that shot. And he said that first off, it was the first that he said was the one major thing in the movie that it was like, it's not worth the expense because the amount of iterations it needed to get to the degree he wanted it. He said that it was going to be way too costly. And so he just sourced it all and put it in his house and was like, I will do the iterations myself and I will get it as close as I can. He said he still didn't get it to the point that he wanted, but that he got it to a point that he was at least happy with. But that he was like, at this point, he was like, I'm going to do the best I can. And B, now I have a farm that like, if I want to do this for a later movie, like I can use this for later projects. But he completely took on all of the 3D rendering processing on his own so that he could try and get it to a point that he was happy with.
Yeah, he Markiplied the amount of computers in his house to do it. And it did look good. And there was actually another CG scene where he's having the kind of the blood dream or whatever you want to call it. And he sees like the giant creature in the sky. That looked fucking sick. That was some good Lovecraftian.
Honestly, even the fish chomp I thought was a cool shot. It's not very long, but it was a cool shot.
Yeah. That was not the problem I had with the movie. The special effects, the practical effects, especially the body horror, that was the good stuff. I mean, if it wasn't for the last 20 minutes of the movie, this would have been a 7 for me. And because I don't think we need to belabor it. Like, the middle is flabby. It's definitely a first timers movie. It's definitely and you can see all of the seams and the holes where there's places to improve his game, whether it's acting, directing, writing, et cetera. He's got places he can go. He is certainly not untalented. He's certainly not incapable of acting, directing, writing, editing, etc. The man's talented. He just needs to get more of these under his belt and do them a few more times. And I think the other thing that would really help is if he had someone who was a professional filmmaker coming in and advising and taking someone's advice on it. I think that this could have been a project where if he'd had some more people who were seasoned filmmakers, people who were, higher up in the professional level in Hollywood, talking to, or in any kind of cinematic world, talking to him and kind of giving him advice on this. I think that this would have been a better movie. And you know what? I think he's probably going to get it. People took notice of this.
Mhm.
People took notice of the success of this. And I think he hopefully will get some attention, and hopefully he will have an open ear, because he can absolutely become a better filmmaker and a better actor and everything else. But this is a damn good start. I don't want to, say that this is it's not a bad movie, but it definitely has some weaknesses in its game. But it's still, as far as horror is concerned, my God, that last 20 minutes that was just, pure deliciousness. So yeah, 7.5 for me. I think we're all clear about why it's not any higher than that, but also why it's not any lower. I thought it was better than I had anticipated. It was not as good as I had hoped, but 7.5 from me. And now, Ryan, I am really curious to hear what you have to say about this, because this is your boy.
Yeah.
But what did you think about Markiplier's Iron Lung?
So I liked the movie and I wanted to give it a higher score. I really wanted to give this movie like an 8.5. I think 7.5 is fair. I think I'm going to land at an 8. I think it's pulled up by, I think the physical effects are great. I think honestly, I like the cinematography. What they do with lighting in the movie is very cool at times. I like some of the transitions shot to shot, especially in a tight space. I think like what they were able to do with essentially a one room set, and also the physical rig. If you've ever looked up the physical rig that he put the sub on, that was crazy incredible.
Awesome. Shot the whole thing like on this like hydraulic stand so he could get shaken around and moved around and everything.
It's literally, the entire set's on this like almost hydraulic spider that can like tilt and pivot. And that's how he did like the stunts where he gets like thrown across the sub. It's literally like jerking, and he's like doing stunts and stuff. But anyway, I think like from a technical standpoint, this movie's really cool. I think the CG's done pretty well. I think it's weighed down by, I do think his acting can be a little self-aggrandizing at times. I think there's moments it's fine. I think there's moments where it's a little much. I think like it really needed those subtitles. It really did. And like it has some extraneous plot and some plot holes. But like I did enjoy it. I do think it's an accomplishment that should be celebrated and touted. And I am hopeful to see kind of how this evolves within the media landscape. Honestly, like, granted, you don't like, there's the one-sided nature of like, you don't actually really know people through media, whatever, but at least from what I can tell, he seems like a pretty good guy and I'm rooting for him. And I've been a fan of his for a while. So I'm going to go an 8. Nice. I think that it's definitely worth seeing. I'm hoping that it goes to, I don't know if he's going to just end up putting it on YouTube or whether it's going to end up on streaming or what, but with the success, I have to imagine somebody's going to come and try and pick it up. And so here's hoping we see it on streaming soon. And I was impressed overall. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. And you know what? Good for him. And this is good for movies. So like someone doing this, someone being able to take this autonomy and do this, that's just good for film. So congratulations, Markiplier, for getting this one done and for making a pretty decent movie at it while you're at it. So good job. But that being said, Ryan, Dan, that means you're out of a prompt. But you're not going to pick one.
Not choosing.
You're not choosing one because we're on our last few shows.
There.
No, it will be the last one next time.
I know. The season finale. I don't have a prompt. Dan now doesn't have a prompt, but Ryan, you still have a prompt. And you're going to tell us what that is and what movie we're going to see on our very last episode of season 2. Take it away.
Wow.
So my prompt for the final episode is Medieval. And let me tell you, first off, I thought that Medieval would be an easy prompt. I was very surprised to find that there are not that many medieval horror movies. There are a lot of movies that claim to be medieval. And for the record, the medieval times is usually considered the 13th to the 15th century. And almost every movie that I saw when I was trying to find medieval movies was like the late 15th, 16th, 17th century. Like, those are not the same time period.
I appreciate you really dialing into the medieval. Like, what is medieval? I can't do 1600s. Well, that's too late.
There was a period I really seriously considered. Because I was like, okay, like I thought for sure there'd be like a haunted knight or like a witch or like an evil like
plague
some
or like
fantasy horror vibe combined. And like there is some like the Black Death with Sean Penn.
Black Death, Sean Bean.
Bean, not Sean Penn.
Yep.
Different Seans. Like that was one that was
Devil's
considered.
Bath, The Navigator. I can't think of a whole lot either. I
There's
can't think
not
of a whole
that
lot
many. I was surprised.
Yeah.
And I will say I started to like, there was a point where I was really heavily considering like, okay, what's the most medieval thing I can think of? A castle. What's the most horror related castle thing? Vampires. What's the most quintessential vampire? Dracula. Like I was like, there was some pathing going on. But what I tried to stick with the actual medieval thing, and so what I found was
I thought you were going.
I thought I got excited for a second.
I really was considering Dracula, but I didn't want to. You know, when we have a prompt, we just had a stretch. I don't want to do 2 stretches in a row. So, and I'm still on the quest for the perfect 5.
Oh,
and so I found a movie that I think might be close.
It's a terrible quest.
And it's medieval. It's a great quest. It's a noble medieval quest. And
I want a completely average movie.
And so I found a movie that is from Northern Europe, and it's fairly recent, and it was fairly small, but it is squarely seated in medieval. It is called The Headhunter.
What?
Ryan.
I
from
heard
2018.
Okay,
it is.
I heard of this one.
It's
How did I
originally
miss this
titled
one?
The Head, and it is. Oh, I guess it's American.
Was it on Shudder for a while? Like, was it originally on Shudder? I thought it was like a Shudder exclusive when it first came out. But
let me see if I can. I'm looking.
This must be a little.
It came
little
from
movie.
the Sitges Film Festival in 2018.
Okay.
I don't see anything about Shudder, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find if there's any release information. Distribution.
The Head Hunter. I like the name.
I've heard of it. I remember hearing about this movie because I think you could be wrong that this is going to be your average movie. I think that it got a lot of good buzz for being a very good movie.
Well,
so we'll
I
see.
could be wrong. I will say this is a very dated. It says the first trailer debuted on March 14, 2018, received over 5 million views. It became the #1 most viewed trailer on iTunes movie trailers, briefly surpassing the total views of current blockbusters, including Avengers Endgame, Toy Story 4, and John Wick 3, which is just an amazing sentence.
I feel like during the pandemic, I went into another universe. How did I never hear about this movie then?
It was a limited theatrical release in the United States, it says specifically.
Crazy. Well, all right. Well, The Head Hunter. Ryan Ross Live going deep cuts on us to end season 2.
It was announced on Shudder for streaming rights in November 21st of 2019.
Well,
yeah,
then
that's right. I knew it was like a Shudder exclusive. That's why
I'll go look it up on Shudder. Fantastic. Great. Well, everybody else, if our dedicated listeners out there, go check out The Head Hunter in preparation of our next episode, the final episode of season 2. And then we're doing a season finale, big season. Oh my God, games and trivia and jokes and fun. And that's going to be a good one. And we get to re-rate one of our movies. We get to go back and give and change up our scullies.
Slumber.
Oscar award winning movie, Slumber. Yes. But for right now, we're gonna I guess head towards the exits of the theaters. Boys, we got to do some work before we get out of here. We didn't do it at the top of the show, but Dan, tell them where they can go to find us.
They can go to beacons.ai/TIWYD pod, and that's where you can get all the links to where you can listen to us, where you can watch us on our YouTube channel, and where you can wear some of our cool merch like this beanie.
That's right.
I'm wearing right now.
The Rakakuni beanie that he's got on right now. Being driven by a rat or a raccoon or something up there. We don't know. It's probably a possum. It's probably a possum. I'm thinking.
Maybe.
Yeah. Papa Pooney. But Ryan Ross Live, tell them about Patreon. What do we got going on Patreon?
We have a Patreon. It is the same handle as all of our other socials, so you can find it at TIWYD Pod on Patreon. And we have various perks and tiers available to you. You can subscribe for free, or each tier has exclusive perks, including discounts on merch, extended episodes, bonus content that we release every month, and our highest tier is our dedicated benefactor tier, which allows you a personalized shout out every episode, like our lovely CG. So CG, thank you so much.
CG. Thank you, CG.
Thank you, CG. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for listening to our show. We really appreciate it. Please come back and check us out in our next episode. We'll be doing The Head Hunter. But yeah, if you made it this deep in the show, as we always say, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys checking us out. Thank you to all of our amazing patrons for supporting the show. Thank you to everyone for listening to us and supporting. It means the world to us. But we are going to get out of here, and we will be back next time. It should be a lot of fun. And then season finale. My God, wow. It is already time for that.
And stick around for the extended if you're one of our patrons.
That's right. We have a little more to come. More content if you are a patron coming after this. But for Ryan Ross Live, for Dan Marcha Madness, I am Sir Ian Dangerous. We will see you next time right here on
This is why you die.